All right, class. So today's homework is on fractions and operations, okay? Fractions and operations. We're going to be adding and subtracting fractions. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to write this, it's a little easier to see if you write it as write it vertically, up and down. So this is going to be 2, whole number 2, 7 over 8. And it's minus 1 and 3 over 8, okay? All right, so now look at what you have here. Okay, so you have to have a common denominator when you're adding and subtracting fractions, and you do. Your denominator in the first mixed number or fraction is 8, and your denominator in the second mixed fraction is also 8. So your denominator in your answer is going to be 8. The operation here is subtraction, so you're going to subtract the numerators. 7 is on the top as the numerator. 7 minus 3 is going to be 4. Okay. Now you're going to subtract your whole numbers. 2 minus 1 is going to be 1. You need to reduce your fraction. Always reduce your fraction. So to reduce your fraction, you're going to think of the greatest common factor between 4 and 8, which is 4. So I'm going to reduce by 4. Divide both the top and bottom by 4. Okay. When you divide the top by 4, 4 divided by 4 gives you 1, and 8 divided by 4 gives you 2. Your whole number here is going to be 1. Let me erase this little right here. So this is going, my answer here is going to be 1.5. Okay, 1.5. All right. Let's look at number 3. Number 3, that's just a little bit bigger. Number 3, we're adding fractions. I'm still going to write it vertically. So I have 6 and 1/3. And then I'm going to have plus 5 and 3/4. Okay? 5 and 3/4. All right. So here, my common denominator, I'm going to look at the largest denominator, which is 4, and write the multiples for 4 because I need to find the least common multiple between the two. So always start with the multiples of the largest number. So the largest denominator is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 won't go into 4. That's the first multiple of 4. The second multiple of 4, 4 times 2 is 8. 3 will not go in to 8 an even amount of times. Either it will go in, but it will have a remainder. The third multiple of 4 is 12, and 3 will go into 12 4 times. So our denominator is going to be 12, right? So let's think. What number can we multiply? Looking at this top fraction, what number do we multiply times 3 to give me 12, and that's 4. So to make an equivalent fraction, I'm also going to multiply the top by 4. So that's going to give me a new numerator of 4. But these are, again, equivalent fractions, okay? I'm going to bring over the whole number, 6, right? So let's make an equivalent fraction here. What can we multiply times 4 to give me 12? 3. So I'm going to do the same thing to the top and multiply the numerator, the top number, by 3. And that gives me 9. My whole number, again, is 5. Okay? All right, so here we go. Let's look at it. Okay, so my denominators, again, are 12. Okay. I'm going to add my numerators. 4 plus 9 gives me 13. Okay, 13 on the top. So that's 13 over 12. I'm going to add my whole numbers, and that gives me 11. 13 over 12 is an improper fraction, so I am going to simplify that by dividing. 12 again goes, the denominator is your divisor, and your top number is your dividend. Okay, that's the number that goes inside the division symbol, the dividend. 12 goes into 13 one time with 1 remaining. So you take the remainder and it becomes the numerator. And again, your denominator stays the same. So the remainder, whatever the remainder is going to be your numerator. So 13 over 12 is 1 and 1/12. So you're going to take the 1 and 1/12 and add it to the whole number that's already there. And your answer is going to be 12 and 1/12. Okay, and so that's how you do adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, all right, let me make the screen just a little bit smaller. You're going to do the same thing over here. Look at it. This first fraction here is a improper fraction. So you're going to divide to simplify that. 8 goes into 17. Remember? 8 goes into 17 two times. 2 times 8 is 16. How many remaining? 1. So this is going to be 1 and 1/8. So we got, 2 as the whole number. 2 and 1/8. So that's the first fraction, or mixed number, excuse me. And then you have minus 2 and 1/6. Then here's where you have to find a common denominator. Remember, when we find common denominators, use the largest denominator, which is 8. The first multiple of 8 is 8. The second multiple of 8 is 16. 6 will not go into 8 and won't go into 16 either. Keep going. 8 times 3 is 24. Well, 6 will go into 24. So let's use 24 as the common denominator, okay? So your common denominator is 24, okay? So whatever you multiply, you got to make equivalent fractions. Whatever you multiply to get 8 here, you have to do the same thing to the numerator. 8 times 3 gives me 24. So I'm going to multiply 3 here as well, times 3, sorry. This is going to give me 3, and this is 2, okay? We're going to do the same thing to the bottom fraction. What number can we multiply times 6 to give me 24? And it's going to be 4, okay? So when I multiply the numerator times 4, this gives me 4, and I bring over the whole number 2, okay? So now let's go ahead and subtract. When you subtract here, you're going to subtract the numerators. All right, and when you subtract, look, you cannot subtract 3 minus 4. So we're going to decompose this fraction. And we're going to take the 1 that we borrowed, or that we are decomposing, borrowing, some people say. And we're going to add that fraction to the 3 over 24. So in order to do that, let me erase some of this, okay? Let's erase some of this part so you can see. Okay. So I am going to put this here, 2 and 3/24. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to take 1, a whole number 1, away from the 2. And the whole 1 that I'm going to take, I'm actually going to make it into a fraction. And I'm going to say 24 over 24. 24 over 24 is a whole. And I'm going to add it to the fraction itself, 3 over 24. Why am I doing 24 over 24? I can use 1 over 1, 2 over 2, 3 over 3, as long as it's a whole that I'm taking. But I'm choosing to use 24 so that I don't have to find a common denominator when I add the fraction to make it bigger. So this on the top is 27, and on the bottom is 24. Okay, so now I've borrowed here, okay, or I've decomposed my fraction to make this part of the mixed fraction bigger so that I can subtract it from 4. All right, so let me erase this now. So then what do I have, Ms. Reyes? I have the 1 now, remember? And I have the, because remember I took a whole from this, and now I have 27 over 24. So this is 27 over 24. So now I can subtract. 27 minus 4 gives me 23. Okay, sorry. This gives me 23. Let me erase this part. Okay. This gives me 23 on the top. On the bottom, this gives me 24. Okay. And then when I subtract here, this gives me a negative, right? What does this give me a negative? It gives me a negative 1. and this is going to be my answer. Okay, so what I have is -1 and 23 over 24. Okay. All right. Make sure that you complete the rest of your work. Take your time, show your work. If you have more questions, just ask questions, okay? All right, y'all. Enjoy your evening.